All right, what's up, freshmen? I'm going to try to keep my voice down a little bit. My wife and the baby are still sleeping. I couldn't sleep, so I'm getting you guys a video real quick in the morning. Hopefully, this is one of the first things you see. Um, Watch this video, and then by the end of it, I want you to, one, make sure that you comment what time you watched this video. And then two, I want you to make sure that you check at 9 a.m. on April 21st, you have your Act 2, Scene 1 is going to be due to me by midnight tonight. So take a look at it. So I just really wanted to quickly do, this is for freshmen only, I wanted to do a Romeo and Juliet Act 1, Scene 4 review. Got my little notes right here. I just wanted to kind of go over it with you just to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So Romeo and Juliet Act 1, Scene 4, this is where the banger is. So remember, the Capulets are having a party. The father and the mother, Lady Capulet and Capulet, both want to find a mate or not a mate, I don't know, that sounds weird, a husband for Juliet. So they're having this party. The scene actually begins with Capulet and his servants and Peter preparing for the big party, for the feast. They're preparing it. It's a masquerade, which means that they all wear masks at this party, which is good because remember, Romeo and his clan of Montagues are not welcome at this party. So Romeo, Benvolio, and Mercutio all show up to the party wearing masks, and nobody really knows who they are. But all the other guests arrive and they start having a good time. Capulet greets them but doesn't really know who they are. He just sees that there's people having a good time, young, nice people. At the party, this is actually the first time that Romeo actually lays eyes on Juliet. And this is one of those moments where you've heard of the idea of love at first sight, where you see a girl across the room and she catches your eye and you guys meet eyes and love sort of starts to have, I don't know if that's actually true, if that actually happens, but in this play it does. So maybe suspend our reality a little bit. So Romeo lays eyes on a very pretty girl, doesn't know who it is, and he moves on pretty quickly from Rosaline. If you remember, his intention of going to the party was seeing his ex, but instead he sees this new girl and his ex just kind of goes out the window. Romeo lays eyes on this really pretty girl. He moves in on her, kind of, a little smooth, forgets all about Rosaline, and he definitely does have that love at first sight type of deal. Of course, this wouldn't be a Shakespeare scene without some sort of conflict, so Tybalt, who is a Capulet, is there, and he goes and turns, and he sees that he hears Romeo's voice and tells Capulet and others that Romeo is there, and he seems to want to start a fight. So Tybalt seems to be aggressive, and he wants to start a fight. But Capulet is there. He's having a good time. He's like, yeah, he says Romeo's a Montague, but he's a really nice gentleman. He's a good guy. So they leave him alone unbothered. Tybalt kind of understands this. So then Romeo makes his move onto Juliet, and this is where the scene kind of gets really romantic, I guess you could say. So Romeo and Juliet, they don't know each other. They're both wearing masks, so they don't know who they are. Romeo doesn't know that she's a Capulet. She doesn't know that he's a Montague. They don't know each other's name even. But Romeo takes her by the hand, and he speaks to her really romantically. Romeo even talks to her, uses this metaphor with pilgrims and stuff like that to kind of get Juliet to allow him to kiss her. And he did just that. He moves in and kisses her. And then they flirt a little bit more. Then they kiss again. So it's kind of like they're having a little kissing session there in the middle of the party. But the nurse kind of walks in on them and sees that Juliet is kissing or is talking with this young man. And the nurse says that Juliet's mother is looking for her. So she basically tells Juliet she needs to get out of there. Juliet tells the nurse, okay, so she goes to her mother, she obeys the nurse, and Romeo and Juliet leave each other. They're not able to stick around together much anymore. Juliet actually talks to the nurse about Romeo Again, she doesn't know his name. She doesn't know who he is. She kissed him a couple times. So Juliet tells the nurse to find out who that man, who that young man, who that pretty boy at the party was. The nurse ends up coming back and explains that Romeo is in fact a Montague. And Juliet gets kind of very sad, kind of out of place about it. She's really sad and realizes that she's just fallen in love with the enemy. But again, they don't know each other. They don't know, they're not necessarily boyfriend, girlfriend. They're not really in love. They're kind of like puppy love, love at first sight. It's not really love, but it could be. I don't know. At least they're feeling each other. They like each other. And they want to sort of see each other again. That's at least sort of like where they leave us off. So again, there's some conflict in here. There's a lot of dramatic irony. Like, remember, we knew that it was Romeo and Juliet, that they're from different families, but they didn't know that, right? So that's part of that whole dramatic irony aspect of this film, or of this play. It also gives us sort of like insight into how deep this feud is. The fact that they can't even go to a party hosted by that other family is a huge deal, and that sort of shows the deep-rootedness of the conflict. So that's all I have for you guys for Act 1, Scene 4. So if you can do me a favor, make sure that you comment on the comments that what time you watched this video, and also make sure that you are checking at 9 a.m. on April 21st. That's when your assignment kind of pops up on Google Classroom, and make sure you get that done by midnight, April 21st. All right, boys? You have a fantastic day. You stay out of trouble. You let me know if you need anything. I'll see you soon.